I'd like to thank everybody for coming. You have many education choices, and we're all grateful at the WTO that you have chosen to listen to us for an hour and to our messages about things that will impact everyone. I'd like to say that by joining us here, you're essentially embarking with us on a mission. I'd like to start right at the beginning. As I was saying, trade liberalization is a project of faith. It's a crusade. And in any crusade, there are problems. There are invading armies, there are big blockades. And one of the problems that we run into in this crusade is starvation in the third world. You may recognize that symbol from those green bins you see, where cans, bottles, blah, blah. The kind of recycling I'm talking about that we have developed at the WTO is not really this irrelevant kind of recycling where the target, individual consumers like you and me or of non-edible industrial products, is such a tiny part of the problem. Rather, we're talking about really recycling what counts, where it counts. To begin to understand the theory behind this, you must first realize that the human body is not really very efficient. When ingesting heavy foods, only about 20% of the nutrients are absorbed by the alimentary passageway, while the other 80% finds itself expelled in post-consumer byproducts. Already 20 years ago, NASA scientists began to tap into this nutritional goldmine by developing filters that could transform their astronauts' waste into healthy, hygienic, and even delicious food once again. With the use of this technology, a single hamburger, for example, can be eaten more than 10 times, providing a cumulative total of 3 times the nutritional value of the original fresh hamburger. Now again, a certain amount of cultural openness is required as we investigate solutions. And I'd love to take any questions. Yes, you've been...
Coming from a third world country, I found most of what you said pretty offensive. It's as if everyone is equal, but some are more equal than others. And who is to say whether people in the third world want a burger?
I, in my heart, sometimes find it to agree that cultures deserve equal consideration, perhaps to develop on their own terms. But, we're different. We're culturally different. We're rich, they're poor. This is the most humane solution we can come up with that stays within the market logic.
If it's all right, I could answer a portion of that question as well. And this answers the question about desire for the product, because the biggest growth areas are the developing world. And so, in fact, people do want the product. We do have a kind of video presentation about this that I came prepared to show. It's not, the program isn't actually completely ready yet. So as you can see here, there's a consumer in the first world entering McDonald's and consuming a hamburger. And afterward, this is a process we're all familiar with. I don't need to explain it to anyone. But you see, it's rendered out in this style because studies have shown that consumers are most responsive to 3D animation right now, particularly in developing cultures. So as you can see, it goes through a piping system, and this isn't unusual. We do this for oil. We could do this for food as well. And as you can see, it goes back up through the plumbing and emerges in a McDonald's. Now, the part of this video that isn't completed yet is the filtering process. There will be a very well-rendered filtering And as you can see, this might answer somebody's question from before, but at the McDonald's in a developing country, and in fact in this country as well, you would be able to choose the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 would no longer refer to combinations of food, but rather just the number of times the product had been recycled. We're lucky to be able to partner with the World Trade Organization, which has slightly different goals. Of course, McDonald's goals are to profit and grow. And we hope that we can provide a nutritious and tasty product in the process.
Our goals are to help McDonald's profit and grow and all other corporations. So.
I think you guys, like the WTO is kind of lacking kind of like a human element, like If you saw, have you ever seen starving people?
In pictures, yes.
Okay, but tell me, if you saw somebody starving to death, you would probably think a lot, you know, like that would kind of hit you in a sensitive, you know, place to say like, oh, well, you know, maybe markets and money and this and that don't really mean as much, and actually like feeding people means a little bit more, you know?
Yeah, well, it is true that there's a personal side of it that I have to say, in the WTO, there are questions that we have about this as human beings, but we're not as subject. We have a kind of firmer grasp on theory. We are able, fortunately, to simply direct world trade in a much more theoretical way in collaboration with our colleagues at the largest corporations. So, you know, yes, probably if I went to these countries, I'd feel, I'd think about things a little differently, perhaps, but at the same time, I don't think I would forget all my schooling. I don't think I would forget, you know, all these theories and so on. So perhaps one day I'll do that.
This is a moneymaker, correct?
Yes. Well, it's a moneymaker, starvation solver, sure.
And how much does McDonald's pay you to come here and speak this garbage to us?
Did I see a mouse with an ear growing out of its back?
How are you going to get around the cultural and legal implications of cannibalism and basically asking us to recycle shit?
I think there's no ethical behavior. I mean, you don't have morals, that's what I think. I mean, that's not, I mean, I can't believe the corporate world is run by you guys, because
I can't help but feel burned that way that the way I feed my cat, my dog, that's actually better. And the people you're talking about, you know, I mean, we're talking about people here, aren't we? We're talking about people, and that seems we're giving them lower. We're giving them shit, literally.
The reality is that we already treat people in the third world far worse than we treat our domestic animals. It's not saying it's right. It's just saying that's the reality.